Hello and welcome to Categories TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. We got with us our good friend Melisa Jane Lightning, the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. And you guys just had a show this past weekend, Sunday night, you were telling me, at the Whiskey. Was that your first time playing there?
No, I used to play there all the time. With not it was first time actually with Lady Zepp.
Okay,
So
okay.
yes. But with Sin, we used to play almost like weekly. We had like a residency there, but that was I want to say like 8 years ago.
So two different bands, and
Yeah.
was the response any different? I mean, I'm assuming Sin's a little different. You guys are original band, and there's probably a pretty good chance that the crowd at the Sunday's show probably knew those Led Zeppelin tunes a lot better.
No, opposite.
Oh, interesting, interesting. Wow, wow.
No, well, Sin at the time had a really big following, and so we used to pack the place quite a lot.
Wow.
But this show was great. It was a really good turnout for it was Mother's Day, so it was a holiday.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but
And
yeah.
so what are your memories from this weekend show? I mean, like you said, you played there again, but first time with Ladies F. So for that reason alone, I'm sure it has a special meaning. That show
Well, I guess just that we're kind of getting back into,
performing.
yeah, but performing, I don't know.
Like, when was your last show before that? Have you played out recently?
Yeah, we played somewhere in Orange County called the
Oh,
Mamba
great.
Bar.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have some more shows coming up. I have to have a look, but
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's not like we haven't played, but it's feeling like really solid
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
So
And but Whiskey, of course, is a legendary place where
mhm.
bands like Motley Crue, Rat, Van Halen, um, the Doors all got their start, and so there's that. But it's not a huge stage. So what was that like being up there on that legendary stage? And it being having such a small space to perform in.
It is small, and it's funny. I was kind of thinking that when I was there, I kind of like, oh, I'm kind of standing in this one spot because that's not what I usually do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was kind of trying to figure out where can I go? There's not much room to go because we used to play in Hollywood all the time, the House of Blues, Hollywood.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they've closed that one down now. But that used to be a really nice stage. Like you could actually take some steps, like from one end to the other end.
Yeah.
And this one, no, there's no steps. It was just like a little pivot here and a
Yeah,
pivot
because
there.
I've seen many shows at the Whiskey, and it's funny because it's such a legendary club that yet
Mm.
at the same time, even because it's standing room, so
Yeah.
um, nobody's really sitting down, and so it's a little kind of packed in place.
Yeah, but it's not as small as a Viper room. That one's really
Oh,
small.
sure, sure.
Yeah, but
In fact,
I would say the sound was really good. So like the sound and lighting, that aspect of it was really good. So for a smaller venue, they're doing a good job on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess being the stage is so little though, you're still rocking the crowd, and everybody's still going wild, and that's got to be a great, you're feeding off the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. So like, those smaller gigs, they can be more intimate sometimes. And so you've got more eye contact. Like you can really see the audience.
Because I
So
went
some of
down when
those
they were
bigger
doing,
stages, you can't
yeah,
even see anyone out
yeah.
there, right?
When they were doing the Access World's Greatest Tribute Bands, I went down to some of those shows when they were doing it at the Whiskey, and it was a fun little thing because too, they were doing that show. You're actually aware of it, the red light, the camera's on, and
Mm.
it seems like the show, those shows anyway, would go by so fast, but they were fun shows to go see. Did you ever take part in any of that?
No, I didn't even know they did that.
Oh,
Mostly we used to do the House of Blues. So there was one guy, Rick Ortiz, who was an organizer of doing these tribute band kind of showcases.
mhm.
And he used to do a good job doing that, but it was the House of Blues. So we did more of that. And then I did more the original bands at the Whiskey. Yeah.
Did you guys ever play the Anaheim House of Blues? I asked because a couple of years ago there's a new one in Anaheim now. They kind of moved the location. It used to be at Disneyland. I don't know if you've been to a new location.
I performed at a House of Blues in Anaheim where I don't know if they had just renovated it, but it was all like done up and it
Yeah,
looked
like I said,
great.
they
It was really
recently
good.
moved it. It used to be at
Yeah.
Disneyland, so I haven't been to the new one. But
Oh, it's
That's pretty.
great. If it's what I think it is, it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
And you know, it's pretty cool too because as far as the tribute scene here in California, you know, there's dozens of Led Zeppelin tributes, not just in California, but all around the world. So
Yeah,
first
sure.
of all, if you're going to do Led Zeppelin, you got to kind of make yourself stand out. And I'd say probably the two premier bands, anyway, here in Southern California would be, um, Led Zeppelin only because they've been doing it a little longer, and then you guys for the simple fact that you're an all female band. And I think we talked about this last time. It's got to be fun for you because if you were another all male, let's say, Led Zeppelin tribute, there'd be a lot more expectation from people, maybe for you to sound exactly like Robert Plant, where because you're a female singer, you have a little more freedom and liberties to kind of still do these songs justice and kind of be sang in the way they originally sang, but kind of to put your spin on them, if you will.
Yeah, and I think actually as a female, it's important to kind of showcase the differences,
Yeah,
right? So that you're not trying to necessarily sound like a guy, even though Robert Plant's voice is kind of up here, but
yeah,
it's okay to infuse my feminine
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah,
idiosyncrasies into the way I sing because I am a female. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
it. Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than somebody trying to be something they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and
That
I
whole
think
thing
being
of like honoring your real you, right?
I mean, even Robert Plant accused David Coverdale of he called him David Cover version, but you have a little more freedom, and I think too is if somebody's going to pick a Led Zeppelin tribute band to go see, at least in this area, oh yeah, well yeah, I've heard great things about Led Zeppelin, but hey, let's go check out this all female band. They got a little something different to offer.
Mm. Yeah, definitely it's different and yeah, it's something that we lean into. And
Mhm.
so we actually really super enjoy being able to have our own creativity and adding our own flair.
Yeah.
In fact, we're entertaining the idea of working on doing um, sort of like a Zeppelin-ish originals that we can then integrate into the show as well, just to kind of have a little more even of
Now
that
that's a
uniqueness.
cool concept for a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, you're giving the fans a little something extra,
Yeah.
and if you're able to, the songs are good enough and people are liking those, there's maybe even a chance for you to say, you know what, let's put together a maybe just to see 4 or 5 song CD and it sells the shows and if you're really good at it, when people come to shows and you pop in an original. Um, some people might foolishly think that that's a Led Zeppelin tune, have no idea. Of course, you introduce it. Hey, this is an original song, and
Yeah.
and that's a nice little surprise for the fans. Now, do you think if you did that and these songs were accepted and they were,
Mhm.
the fans took to them, do you think you'd eventually morph into like doing all originals, or would you want to kind of just combine the two?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a combination because I already have full original
Sure,
acts.
sure, yeah,
But I think it's kind of nice. So, like with the original acts, sometimes we'll do an occasional cover of a
yeah.
band that we find inspiring to our
Mhm.
style, right? So, I guess what we would be doing with Lady Zepp is kind of the opposite. So, we're being inspired by what our covers are to
Mhm.
do the originals.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's fun. And so, where are you guys with that? Like, as far as are you writing any original tunes for this, or have you been practicing or getting
Yeah,
together?
we've only just been doing things separately. So we're at a point where we should hopefully start combining
Yeah.
forces soon. I don't know what a time frame on that would be, but in my mind, like
Yeah.
this year, right? Sometime this
And that's a great way for you girls to get together and jam and collaborate. Now,
year.
being the singer, do you think you'd want to write all the lyrics, or if some of the other girls wanted to write lyrics just to see
Mm.
what they could do and bring to
Like
the
I'm open to other people writing lyrics, but
you got to be able to deliver the message, right?
yeah, sometimes it just naturally unfolds where it makes sense to me where the lyrics would go. Or sometimes I might come up with a kind of idea and then someone else can maybe add to it,
Yeah.
right? So it's always a tough answer because I never want to cut myself off from any possibility. So whatever's going to get me where I need to get to, I'm open to it, right?
Even
But
in
it
the
seems like I usually write the lyrics because I have a good understanding of how it feels to sing it. So like it's different to just think of like a story in words. You got to think of the way you phrase it and the way it's going to sound like as a
sure. And also, I would imagine when it's a song that you wrote specifically, you have a better idea of maybe what you hear, how you hear it in your head, and maybe if you're singing a song that somebody else wrote on their own life experience, just maybe you can't sing as much from the heart because it's not about your life experience.
Well, I can as long as I connect it to something. So someone could write a song and they have a particular thing that made them
attachment to
write
it.
If I'm going to be the interpreter, then I need to somehow find my own story and connect it, and then I'm good. And that's kind of even you know, with actors, it's like just because you're taking on a role doesn't mean you have to have experienced it like exactly, but you find something that can create a similar emotion and you kind of anchor into that and
you really find your true voice as a singer too, I would think, because well, it's much easier to sing maybe a song that like you wrote from your own personal experience. You definitely got the skill to do that, and I think you're an even better singer if you can so-called find your voice and you can kind of emote somebody else's experience. You know, like you said, you're kind of taking on a role, and just because you didn't direct the film doesn't mean you know, you can't act in it.
Yeah. And you just connect however you connect, and that is the skill of someone that has that ability, that professional ability to, you know,
and then
be a good storyteller, you know, in all the
I've seen also that your band Final Gravity, have you guys already played that you have a show coming up with Zebra, opening up for Zebra?
Yeah, we're opening for I say Zebra.
Okay,
But yes, we're opening for them. And so they're a progressive rock band from the 80s, and they actually do a lot of Zeppelin covers in their show as well. So that should be kind of interesting. But Final Gravity is a progressive rock band, so
you're correct me if I'm wrong. You're in Final Gravity, are you not?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, and so I mean, and so like, how have you guys been practicing for that show? I was curious. Like,
After this interview, I'm going to the studio to rehearse. Yeah.
And so that you guys got that coming up, but are you working on any new music?
Absolutely, and we're going to showcase it at this show. So, what we've been doing. I have actually my notes because
cool.
I really am going to rehearsal after this.
I believe you. Yeah.
So we've been writing actually a new album to release this year, and I think we're doing, what are we doing? 1, 2, 3, 4 of our new songs at this whiskey show. It's at the whiskey as well.
Yeah. That's why as we were talking, it popped into my head. And Zebra, as you say, Zebra, they're kind of a legendary band. I was curious, are you aware of any of their music, or are you just kind of been checking some of it out?
The bass player was the one that was more
Randy
aware.
Jackson. Yeah.
And so he was the one that had mentioned it, and so then I looked into it and helped to set that show up. But no, when I wasn't so aware of them, but when I did research and look them up, I was impressed. They have a really good sound. I thought they were really cool.
They were, you know, they were kind of a little bigger in the 70s. They went away for a while, but then they came back, I think, sometime in the 90s, and they've been playing shows pretty constantly ever since.
They play pretty regularly, is what I saw, which is really cool. So they're definitely like a solid live band.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see them. Actually, it's going to be.
And how exciting is that for you when you find out, like, maybe you weren't necessarily aware of who Zebra was until you got approached to play with them, but once you check out some of the stuff, and you found, wow, a band that's been around that long, they got this kind of a following, they want us to play with them. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, and they're kicking ass. You know, they're doing really good.
Yeah. And it's interesting that kind of, you know, I think Final Gravity would be a good a band to play with Zebra, but Zebra is one of those bands that can play with a lot of different type of bands, you know.
Yeah. 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 Probably Lady Zepp could play with them too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I would think so. And getting back to Lady Zepp and the show you
Mhm.
guys did this weekend, like how long was your set? Was it like a couple hours? Was it an hour and a half? Was it?
We did an hour. I think we did like an hour and 5 minutes. Went a little bit over, but yeah, it's the Whiskey's like they have a lot of bands play
Sure.
in like a night, and a lot of the bands only played like 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever
Really
taken
quick. It's
part?
like one
Yeah.
band after the next.
Have you ever taken part in the Ultimate Jam Night or any of those jams
Oh
there?
yeah, yeah. I used to sing before the pandemic. I used to sing nearly every week at the Ultimate
Oh,
Jam Night. I would do the backup singing. They have like a little upstairs booth where
mm,
there's usually like three singers that do all the backup vocals for all the people
yeah,
doing the
yeah.
songs, like the lead. And I used to do that all the time. I haven't been doing it since they kind of reopened it, but it's a fun night. I would
Yes.
love to get back into
Yeah,
it.
speaking of COVID and all that and the lockdowns, places like the Whiskey and the Roxy, of course, there were no live shows for about 2.5 years, almost three
Yeah,
years, and
yeah.
and those places were very at risk of of being closed down for good. We have a governor in California was talking stuff about I don't know if we're ever going to allow live concerts
Mm.
ever again. Thank God it didn't come to that. In
Well, I think a lot of them they were doing the live stream shows, right?
fact, I remember Anthrax had they were allowed to go down there and do like a streaming show, like you said,
Yeah.
before they officially opened back up, and it's very interesting because even on social media back then, bands were starting to have these streaming events like on Facebook.
Yeah.
But then, like everything else, Facebook wanted to kind of okay, well, if you're going to use Facebook, then you got to pay us a piece of
Oh,
whatever you
yeah.
make off of it. But
Yeah, but yeah, but you know what they did too is they kind of upped their game on
yeah,
what they were offering as like the streaming platform.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they did improve it as well. So it's kind of like, okay, well, if you're going to improve the platform, then fine, you can
And
get whatever.
that's the one thing I liked about it was okay, all that time when people weren't able to go see live shows, they start doing these streaming events. Okay, it's one way for the bands to get out there and kind of play live, for them to interact with their fans. Fans, okay, they can't go get a live concert experience. At least maybe they can experience a live stream event, which it's the first time ever really these things started taking place. I mean, there's this club in Long Beach where I live called the
Mhm.
Gas Lamp, a little tiny club,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
and during that time, nobody was allowed to go to a movie theater even. So that what
Mm.
they did a couple times, which I thought was really cool, is they had a large movie screen in the parking lot, and you could go
Mm.
watch like a double feature. I think I when it was like Caddyshack and Fast Times at
Oh,
Ridgemont High,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you wouldn't think so, but it was a fun night because that was the first time in months since I was allowed to go out and do something, and
yeah.
I thought, well, this is a new way of doing things, but I it's so rock and roll in a way that not going to let anybody stop you from getting out there and doing something.
I think it's great to kind of be pushed outside of the box.
Yeah,
Um, like you kind of want to evolve. You want to like
sure.
expand and you want to like keep things interesting. Unfortunately, most people they have to be forced to do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But it's a good thing. I really liked the idea of this live stream
Hmm.
shows,
Yeah, yeah.
and we did one at the Coach House, which is
Sure.
like southern, like I forget, San Juan
Yeah,
Capistrano
San Juan
area.
Capistrano.
Yeah, and
Think of
they did a really good job of it. They did like an 8 camera shoot. It was called Alert the Globe was the company that
Mhm.
they were going to these different venues and doing these 8 camera shoots and streaming them worldwide. And I think they should do it even now. So
Mhm.
now that you can have an audience, just have the audience and still live stream it. Why
Sure,
not have
sure.
the
Why
best
not?
of both worlds and
Yeah,
just keep making it like bigger and bigger and more
yeah.
accessible and more opportunity. It's
And,
great.
and again, there were bands that were just getting into that because of COVID and all the lockdowns. And
Yeah.
then since the bands have gone back to playing live, there's not so much about that. But I'm with you that and that's
Yeah.
something you should even think about for your different projects because
Mhm.
not everybody's doing it like they were, and so that could even set your band apart. Okay, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a live stream event, and whoever wants to join us, this is a day, this is a
Yeah.
place.
what about people like in other parts of the world, other states, all that? Like they need to be entertained too. Not everyone can get to the live
I
show.
mean,
So,
even I've interviewed you like 2 or 3 times now,
mhm.
and I think first time like was over the phone. I was doing it the old school way.
Oh yeah.
I'm not really
Mhm.
tech savvy, but thank God I have a friend that he really encouraged me to kind of embrace this new technology and teach
Yeah.
myself how to do it. And I've
Mhm.
had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, so much like you're saying, with each one of these interviews that I do kind of have a life of its own for whatever reason. Like you're coming from a different location, but it is so Melisa Jane Lightning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all about you. I had another guy that was like last Saturday. He was doing it from Europe. I had to get up like at
Yeah.
9 a.m. But I thought, in different parts of the world, or even bands. I had bands tell me like they made a record over Zoom. People
Yep.
rehearsing and writing songs. I mean, this modern technology is just amazing. You just gotta kind of embrace it.
Absolutely. In fact, there's these musicians in Italy that when the pandemic first started, they found me on YouTube and just said, "Oh, we were going to start doing quarantine videos because
Yeah,
that was a thing that everyone was
yeah,
doing. Would you like to do one with us?" What we're trying to do is have a different person from every country
that's
in
cool.
the,
Yeah, yeah.
the band to make up the band. So they wanted it to be like, all the countries uniting. And I said, that's a great idea. I'd love to do a song. And we did a song, and then they had so much fun doing that with me. They're like, would you like to do another one? I'm
Mhm.
like, sure. And um, so, long story short, we did about, I think it was like 6 covers.
Wow,
And
wow.
then they said, would you like to do an original? I said, sure, send me some ideas and we'll see what happens. Now, so I guess this would be about a year later
Hmm.
since we first started
Then
doing all
yeah.
this. Now we have something like 4 originals, and we have another one coming out, like music videos coming out, I think, in a week.
Oh wow.
And and I've never met these people, and I'm doing some really cool stuff with them too.
And
Yeah.
what's the name of that called?
They're called Nowhere Jam.
Nowhere Jam. I have to look.
Nowhere Jam because we're all over.
They have a they have a Facebook page or on social
I
media anywhere?
don't think they have a Facebook page, but they have a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Well,
So they have a YouTube channel. It's Nowhere Jam.
I'll
Yeah.
check that out, and maybe when the video drops, I
Yeah.
can have you back. But I was gonna say, let's keep in touch, and even when you start dropping anything with Sin or
Gravity.
Final
I
Gravity,
definitely have
or
some cool stuff
or
coming out.
the
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin originals, I'm really excited to hear that.
Mm,
We'll have you back because
cool.
it's fun to hear all this, and you're involved in so much. In fact, I probably want to invite you back next time, maybe after you do the show with Zebra, just to see how that went.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it'd be kind of interesting to know that like how many people that went to the Ladies F show last week and are gonna even know that you're in Final Gravity. Wouldn't it be funny if some of the same fans showed up that night?
It would. It would be great, actually.
Yeah. And you find a lot of like the Ladies F fans, they know about these other projects, or they kind of find out about them accidentally, or
Yeah, like I don't think it's like all everyone knows.
no?
But there are a few people that kind of cross over. I think more so like some of the people that are more in entertainment.
Yeah,
So like some of the people that come and they do the photography of
sure,
the
sure.
Ladies Ep shows, they start to pick up on what my original acts are because they're kind of looking for other
Yeah.
acts to photograph and do
And
video
you
footage
kind
of.
of keep it separate, but like if anybody visits your personal Facebook page,
Mhm.
Melisa Jane Lightning,
Yeah.
you kind of always are posting whatever you're involved with,
I have all the bands up there, yeah,
yeah, which is
because
cool.
they're all good.
And this is a silly question because I know, of course, you're probably for anybody coming to any of your shows, but what's more exciting for you? Somebody kind of like discovering maybe that you're in Final Gravity, and they wait a minute, that's the singer from Lady Zepp, or then they got fans that don't even know about maybe Lady Zepp, and they just think you're this you know cool progressive rock chick in Final Gravity.
It's I don't even know how to answer that one because
Because the funny thing is that to me they're two totally like
yeah,
like I could go see any of your bands play live. I think because they're all good. They're all something because if they all sounded the same, why you do
can
them,
be
right?
different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it's like I'm proud of all of them in different ways. And I really respect everyone, like
Mm.
all the different musicians, but it's like to compare them,
I
just
don't know, not really.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's not
even
fair.
know. Like,
It's not fair to compare. But I guess like
yeah.
have you ever experienced maybe a fan maybe coming to a Final Gravity show and then they tell you how great the show is, and then maybe you're having a conversation. Oh wow. Oh yeah, yeah. You're a Lady Zepp. Oh wow.
Yeah, like I think it's cool, like when
Yeah,
they realize that there was someone that I don't even know. I think it's cool when they recognize me for Lady
yeah,
Zepp,
yeah.
because I think I'm pretty identifiable, right?
Sure, sure. Yeah,
But I guess with like some of the original things, like particularly with Final Gravity, like some of those songs I wrote like 20 years ago.
wow,
Like
wow, amazing.
like the actual seed of the
Yeah,
song
yeah,
was
yeah,
like way back when I was much younger, when I was in my teenage
yeah.
years. And I then later in life um found the final inspiration to complete it. But it was a really long process. And so um there's a lot of story behind those particular
Sure.
songs. And when people come up to me and say, I love that one, it really meant
Touched
something
me.
to me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I guess that makes me feel like those 20 years I invested in
Wasn't
the
for
song
waste.
are
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
worth it, or um because I think there is something about your originals where you can be really proud of them, but also terrified of the rejection.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So to know that they did come across
And see,
and they did
yeah,
touch people, um, that's kind of beautiful, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
and
different to just being praised because oh, you're a good performer and you're good at
yeah,
singing just singing in general. It's a
yeah.
different thing. It's like your soul's being validated.
And it's interesting that you kind of have that feeling because I mean anytime I've seen that you post like a music video on your YouTube page
Mhm.
or whatever, you seem to get pretty good numbers. But like for example, when you post a new video, do you always at first kind of have that fear of maybe it's going to be rejected or maybe it won't be as
Yeah,
popular as a yeah
yeah, because people also might not be ready for it. Like, like sometimes, something doesn't get popular until later on down the track because it's I don't
yeah
know, like,
like even it's funny like all these interviews I do I post them I try to do my best to promote the album some get better numbers than others and
yeah.
that's fine but I did this interview recently with the new drummer from Tesla and
Mm,
he happens to be the younger brother of Mick Brown the drummer from Dokken and he's
okay.
retired and his older brother Mick is retired and so we were talking a little bit about that
Yeah,
and because of that interview got like 600 hits, which it doesn't sound like much, but for us it's huge,
yeah,
you know.
it's
And
good, yeah.
and you think, okay, why did that one get all those hits? But just because we were talking about some drummers,
Yeah, it's
brother,
funny. There's like little things that like tip the algorithm. I
yeah,
kind of like I sort of understand the algorithm because I work a little bit in marketing,
yeah.
but I like uh to work more with the organicness of things. And so
I'm with you. I mean, it'd be nice to get like great huge numbers, but that's not why I do it, you know.
yeah, I
And
don't want to manipulate things and have it unnaturally form. And
and
I
like
believe that if you just stick with
yeah,
the natural unfolding, it'll get there. It just
eventually, yeah,
you
yeah.
have
It
to be
just takes some
patient,
time.
right?
And
Yeah.
like I posted a couple years ago an interview I did with legendary drummer Carmine Appice, and
Mhm.
it got a decent amount. Like it got like almost 100 hits. But then this up and coming hard rock band that is just kind of coming out of the gates got like nobody's ever heard of until now. It got 5,000 like hits. I'm like, okay, I don't quite understand that, but like you said,
Yeah.
we just keep putting them out there,
Yeah.
and however
Yeah, you
people,
just keep doing it. And so and then little things will fuel other things. And
yeah,
so it's like sometimes we'll do something and then no one cares.
yeah.
But then because we did that, it fuels the next one. It's
Oh,
kind of
sure.
weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was curious at the whiskey when you guys played last Sunday. Are they still doing their what's called pay to play? Where okay, if you can pack the
Mhm.
house, we'll let you come back.
Mm.
And was the crowd accepting enough so you'd get welcome back there, do you think?
Oh, well, what word on the street was that the management of the whiskey were absolutely blown away by us. That
Wow, that's
we
good. That's
super,
good.
super impressed them. So that's what I got told.
It's almost like you've arrived, right? Like, okay, we'll be welcome back here.
Yeah, I was told that they said, why haven't they played here before?
Yeah, yeah.
That was their response. And we were the headlining band. So head I believe that headliners don't pay to play.
Oh, that's
You
good.
actually
That's
get
good.
paid if you're a headlining
Yeah.
band.
Well,
Um,
the reason I asked, a lot of tribute bands I've interviewed over here, maybe that's not the policy now, but a lot of the tribute
uh,
bands even told me to play there. They had to, maybe it's because they were opening. Um,
yeah.
they give you a lot of tickets, and then that's why you see it on Facebook all the time. Bands saying, "We got tickets, just
Yeah.
write us, and we'll leave tickets for you." And it's almost like, okay, if you guys can sell the place out and we get a big crowd, you
Yeah.
can come back.
Well,
Yeah,
then you can headline and they'll pay you, right?
yeah,
So like for Final Gravity, we're actually selling tickets, which
that's
is
great.
unfortunate. We don't do that very often, but we thought it would be worth it, and so
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have fans that think it's worth it and they'll help us out. Yeah.
And then that's a for being an original band, that's a little more of an opportunity too, that you get to sell merchandise that night as well, right?
Yeah, we do. But they take their cut too.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
why do they do it right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like if anyone wants to get tickets,
yeah.
yeah, you'd be totally helping us out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last time I interviewed you a few months back, you were sharing with me because you're originally from Australia,
Mhm.
and that you weren't too aware of like you weren't a huge Led Zeppelin fan until you really started singing this stuff, and
Yeah,
that's kind of a unique story because who's not really a Led Zeppelin fan, right? But I love the fact that you're paying tribute to this band that you kind of got turned on to, which
yeah.
makes it
That
an
I
even
discovered, right? So
yeah,
it wasn't like I grew up, and
just
I'm not
loving
saying
it.
I was oblivious to Led Zeppelin. I just didn't grow up hearing like lots of Led Zeppelin, so I wasn't exposed to the
Yeah,
like
all
um
over the radio, right?
the whole
Or
repertoire of
yeah,
what
yeah,
they really are. I just had a very, basic understanding, which most people would have of any band where you only hear two or three songs, right? That's a
yeah,
basic understanding. You can't say you know that band in depth
yeah,
if
sure,
that's all you
sure.
have. Yeah.
But like,
Um,
so with that being your story, what was going back to when you were first learning these songs? What would you say were some of the hardest songs for you to learn? Because if you look at Led Zeppelin, they got everything from a beautiful ballad like Stairway to Heaven to rock and roll and a whole lot of love.
yeah. Um, Four Sticks was kind of tricky because it's got weird timing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That one it goes like from 4/4 to 4/5.
yeah,
Wait, 5/4, sorry.
yeah.
And like it goes back and forth and
Sure, sure.
little weird things like that. But let me think. I had to like really, really chart out Kashmir
Oh
because
yeah.
that
Like
has a lot of like
almost Indian flavor kind of stuff.
well, it's like they don't always they're not ever doing every phrase the
Yeah,
same. So it's like you'd wait two beats here and three beats here. Like
yeah.
there's all weird little things they do. Um what is
I
it?
heard
How
a lot
many
of
more
Led Zeppelin's,
times?
yeah, a lot of Led Zeppelin's music is based on the blues, but it's based on other music as well, right?
Yeah, it's almost like they did progressive blues, and I think had they kept going, had the drummer not passed away, they probably would have become a bit more of a progressive band, I think.
Yeah,
Because they
yeah,
were they were starting to do more of the epic type
sure. Yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, even for a band, from England,
Mm.
they weren't like all the other British, rock bands. They did a little bit of everything.
They did, but there was a lot of intricacies in so many different ways. So um, Jimmy Page just is so
I mean, that's
brilliant.
why, like, I often wonder why they only had one guitar player. But let's be honest, when you have Jimmy Page, you don't need anybody else to back you
He's
up.
so good. But
Yeah,
he would take like one like sort of riff idea and then he would kind of flip it and then invert it again. It's like this one thing could become 10 different
oh, sure, sure.
things, right? And so you hear this repeating thing, but it's always slightly different and it's evolving. And I can only imagine how his mind must just, it's like it's like
Can you
you have
imagine?
an
I
idea
mean,
and it goes into 10 branches, right?
yeah, can you
So
imagine at this point in
interesting.
his life? I mean, just living off of residuals, the royalties. That's a pretty good place to be in life. You don't really need to get up there on stage, and if you can still, if you want to go do a jam session with somebody.
Yeah. It always looked like he had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he always had the big smile on his face whenever he was playing.
And so, what's your favorite? Pretty loaded question, but what's one? Like last Sunday night, let's say, what was one of your favorite songs you
For
performed?
last that night, I feel like Lemon Song's always pretty fun
Yeah,
to
yeah.
sing. Um, but we did this like kind of medley of How Many More Times into
Oh,
Whole Lot of Love, into Moby Dick, back into Whole Lot of Love.
I
It's
love
like a
that.
whole
Wow,
little
wow.
medley thing. And that was pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Melissa, I really enjoyed talking to you again, but let's. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. Anytime you have anything to promote, and maybe next time we talk a little more about the Sin Band. You guys got anything new you're working on for this year?
Sin, not quite. Like we have some ideas of things, but we haven't like pulled the trigger on it yet.
It's just a matter of finding the time. You got all this other stuff
Yeah.
you're working
Well,
on.
no, we have like we've all got these songs and they kind of like
Um,
it's like the template to do a new album. We
okay,
just
okay.
have to confirm it. Yeah.
Well, I'll
So
let you go get to your rehearsal,
yeah, you
and
have
this
to
should,
come to the show. Let me know and I'll send you some
I
tickets.
will definitely do that. So I'll reach out to you for that, and this will be going up in a few days. I'll let you know. So thanks for doing this. You take
Cool.
care now. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. See ya. Bye.